Okay. Good morning and welcome to Tuesday, October 6th, 2020, Todd County Board of Commissioners meeting. The meeting is live streamed so the public can view if they wish to on live. Attending today is remotely is Chris McCon and Jeremy Klausman from Solid Waste and the news media. In person today at the board meeting will be Steve Ock, Jackie Ock, Catherine McIndatz, David Detterman from Health and Human Services, Alicia Sheevy and Susan Hendricks from the University of Minnesota Extension, Connie Nelson from Hands of Hope, Adam Ossifort, Planning and Zoning, Sarah Ogren, Human Resources, Mitch Johnson, Facilities, Kathy Langer from Corrections, and Jolene Sobrowski, our Chief Deputy Auditor Treasurer. Denise is absent today, and Chris Pelzer, our Coordinator. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Yeah. I should say that people that are attending in person are in the hallway waiting. They will come in individually when we do their subject on the agenda. So, is there any corrections or additions to the agenda?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Kneisel to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent items. Jolene.
Consent items this morning for your consideration are the meeting minutes approval from September 15th, 2020, hire of a part-time correctional officer, Richard Ziegler, and appoint a social worker.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. County Auditor Treasurer. Jolene.
The first action we have for you this morning is the auditor warrants from September of 2020. The printouts have been sent for your review. We ask the Todd County Board of Commissioners approve the following by motion: to approve the September 2020 auditor warrants in ACH manual and regular formats, totaling in the amount of $1,160,294.04.
Okay, you've heard the board action. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Erickson, second by Commissioner Kneisel. Discussion. If not, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Thank you. The next action this morning we request is to approve the commissioner warrants. Those printouts have also been sent to you and the warrants for publication are attached. So we ask the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion: to approve the commissioner warrants in ACH and regular format, totaling in the amount of $238,494.80.
Okay, you've heard the board action. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Becker, second by Commissioner Newman. Any discussion? Not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Thank you. The next action this morning is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Again, those printouts have been sent for your review. We ask the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion: to approve the Health and Human Services Commissioner warrants in ACH and regular formats for a total of $126,056.18.
Okay, you've heard the board action. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Thank you. And lastly, we have the Health and Human Services SSI warrants, and those printouts have also been sent for your review. So we ask the Todd County Board of Commissioners to approve the following by motion: to approve the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants in ACH in regular formats for a total of $75,922.84.
Okay, you've heard the board action. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion? Not roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, extension?
Would you like us to sit? Okay, great.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you bet.
Can we take off
Yes,
our masks?
yes, you
All right,
can.
thank you. Well, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I turn it over to Alyssa and have her introduce herself. I just want to say a couple of updates from Extension. Extension has done similar to others, and the county has too, pivoting and changing the way we've done things. So we have learned that online education is something that we can do pretty well. The only thing is, it does not replace in person at all. So someday post-COVID, we sure hope to have a hybrid where we'll have some online. That's been good. Like Brenda has had really astronomical numbers for some of her workshops that she's doing. She's partnering with a couple of neighboring ag educators, and they've been doing really good work with lots of numbers, sometimes 400 people attending a webinar. But we know that that's not the same as being in person, and so we do hope that next year we can do it in person. And that leads me into Alyssa. She's started during COVID and weathered the storm, figured it out. So Alyssa Sheevy, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, good morning, everyone.
Morning. Pull it
A little closer to me.
Okay.
Okay. If I don't wreck the furniture. Well, it's my pleasure and my thrilling opportunity to be in Todd County within the Extension program. I come from a farming background in North Dakota. I grew up by Enderlin, North Dakota, which is about an hour southwest. That's your geography lesson for the day. And grew up on a beef and hog operation. So my next line would be becoming a 4-H member in 3rd grade up until I aged out of the program with North Dakota. So throughout my youth, I was involved in 4-H during all aspects of that, and also was awarded an American degree through the National FFA organization. So that's proof that I believe in youth leadership opportunities. And I just got my tonsils out 2 weeks ago. So if I crack like I'm hitting puberty, that's why. So flash forward to college years. I attended North Dakota State University and received my bachelor's degree in animal science along with extension education and ag communication. So I like to talk about agriculture and work with extension. So upon graduation, 2 weeks after, I started as the Trail County Extension agent through NDSU Extension, where I was the cropping and livestock and 4-H agent for 7 years. And then we had the opportunity to move to Todd County, where my husband grew up. Danny Sheevy is my husband, so you may know my relatives. And we moved in January along with our now 2-year-old son, Luke. He just is 2 today. So it's a big day. I get to meet everyone, and my son turned 2. And my first day as interim was the same day the county was packing up to work from home. So I was told, grab what you think you're gonna need and work from home. So it's been a fun adventure ever since, and working with youth has been definitely different than I have ever experienced this summer, but with change comes opportunity, and that's something that we definitely had a lot of fun with riding out the rapids this year. So I'm looking forward to getting more into the normal swing of things when Corona lets us have that. So I did prepare a short presentation to kind of pull you guys up to speed today with everything that the 4-H side of Todd County has been doing this early spring through now. So we can hit the next slide. So I think this statement is completely 1000% true with our given circumstances this year. So wherever the youth are, 4-H is there to support their thriving. So I was in people's personal space in a professional way, of course, because I was on their computer screens, teaching them and leading them to find out what their passions were. Next slide, please. So here are a couple of our entries at our virtual county showcase this year. We have Alexis Woosty showing her Jersey Spring Heifer. She did exceptionally well at both the local and state showcases this year. And there, standing in Ireland, we have Tori Nenow from Staples. So she was able to do a global connections project virtually and gave us kind of a tour of what learning experience she had overseas. And with the challenges we experienced with coronavirus, it also opened the fence lines, so to speak, for our county borders. So I was involved in the statewide virtual horse training program, and we were able to reach over almost 500 youth and volunteers throughout a multi-monthly virtual training experience with horses. So we were able to provide leading youth opportunities with other county older 4-H members showing training techniques with their own personal horses. And then we were able to do follow-up Zoom calls for questions and answers with local experts in that desired discipline, depending on what that topic was that week. So it was many hours of fun and learning. And as you can see, Todd was participating in that statewide program. So that was really fun to be able to make those relationships with our youth in the county. Next slide, please. So we had to definitely adapt. It was not a question of if we were, it was a statement of yes, we will. So we had to prepare adult volunteers to support their local clubs in different ways. So we had multiple Zoom training opportunities for our volunteers to provide that support that they needed to provide our quality learning environments for our 4-H members across the county. This picture shows the West Union Country kids making Christmas cookies last winter. So it's crazy to think that that's only a couple months away again. So it might look a little different for them this cookie season. Next slide. So that is me, and that is our Facebook page. I would encourage all of you to check out our Todd County Extension 4-H page. Since my time being interim in March to now, we've had a 20% following increase, which is exceptionally well. So that means we're getting more traffic on both our county extension website as well as our social media inputs. And I am a total lead by example person. You can see that is me showing my Charlet cross steer, my AK quarter horse Palomino gelding. And the reason I did that was to lead by example, because we were getting a little bit of apprehension from the whole virtual showcase, and it's different. It's a challenge. It's not traditional at all. So I told Kristen, I think I'm going to show my horse as a steer, just as an example. And you know what? That flipped the switch on that confidence building that the kids needed to be like, hey, well, she did it. I can do it too. And after that, we had entries coming in through our ears. So that was really exciting to see. And that actually got almost 2,000 views on our Facebook page. So I am not afraid to stick my show stick out there and do something a little bit unusual in order to get the kids excited about something. And you know what? people were smiling on that Zoom call because they were like, I can't believe she would do that. But it was really fun. So we can go to the next slide, please. So I did a little preview of how Alexis did at our state showcase. So we had about 40% of our kids move on to participate at the state showcase. So what that entailed was they exhibited their entries, and then they would have a Zoom interview with a statewide judge and have that face-to-face interview, so to speak. And we had a great showing. I'm extremely proud of our 4-H members. And the results are in your goodie bag that I provided to you if you wanted to check that over at your leisure. Next slide, please. So like we mentioned before, we had to get innovative in order to keep the wheels turning with Extension. And innovation is something Extension thrives on. We were founded with the Smith-Lever Act with innovation back in 1902, and that still continues today. So we were able to do multi-different county programming efforts. I was involved with Healthy Sprouts, which was a very popular horticulture class throughout the state of Minnesota, and I'll have a video here in a few moments to share with you the relationships we were able to build with youth across the state, including Todd County residents. With Healthy Sprouts, I was also able to do the virtual horse program, which I talked about before. And coming up in a couple weeks, I will be working with a small animal project virtual class here that I am the lead for with our quality learning environments for the Northeast region. So that's something that's very exciting for me to get to work across county borders and collaborate. So that's something that's been definitely a positive, with maybe the negative of not being able to be in person with educational activities. It's allowed for people in the extension world to collaborate with each other, which is great. And we get to use our strengths and focus on what our passions are as well as making sure that we meet the needs of our communities that we serve. Next slide, please. So, like I mentioned before, Healthy Sprouts, and I think the link should be ready to go. It's about a 2-minute video, and it just really is a good snapshot of the time we got to spend during a 12-week class with the kids. So that's just a few minutes of the 13 weeks we got to spend with those 45 youth. And what was so cool to see after we completed the 13 weeks, the kids said, "We want more." So the educators and myself got together and we said, well, how can we make sure that we keep this thing going? Well, the kids decided they wanted to create a virtual club. So this is the first one that we're aware of as just strictly a virtual 4-H club. So it's going to be multi-county, and what a neat opportunity that this kind of roadblock of coronavirus has created for us. It made the kids have that opportunity to become leaders, which maybe wasn't on their forefront of thinking. I think they just initially joined because they wanted to learn more about how to get their tomatoes and pumpkins to grow throughout the season. So that was something that we are working on, and we will be continuing the Healthy Sprouts 4-H Club through into next spring as twice a month of a class. So that's something that will be really fun to see. And some success stories that I wanted to share with you. Like I mentioned before, our social media has increased followers by nearly 20% in the less than 6 months that I've been here. And thank you so much for always answering my calls and helping me with virtual showcase uploads. You made it seamless for me. This was different, and I let members, volunteers, and parents know if you have any questions, if it's at 8 at night and that's the time you guys are doing registrations and there's a hiccup, call me. And they really appreciated me creating that open line of communication with them, and that's something that I think is so important anytime, no matter if it's a national pandemic or it's just a regular June. I want the families to know that I'm here to help them at a reasonable hour, of course. I really appreciate how much effort you made to determine how our county was going to hold the showcase this year. So we were dealt a hard pill to swallow when we had news that the county fair was canceled for this year. But we did have contingency plans in place before that official decision was made. And how we came to that decision was I made calls to representatives from each 4-H club, volunteers and members, and I wanted to get the feedback that they were comfortable with. And majority said they were more comfortable with the virtual aspect of Showcase. And that didn't make everyone happy, but we had to go with what was the most safe for the whole. And we all are looking forward to a traditional county fair experience this coming summer. And the final quote is from a 4-H parent who texted me the morning after our Leaders Council meeting this summer. And she wanted to share with me how pleased and excited her daughter was after she had left the meeting. And that was something also that's always a goal, is I think youth leading youth and youth leadership is huge. We're creating the leaders of tomorrow in this youth organization, and to be honest, I wouldn't be sitting here if I was not involved in 4-H. That's the kind of impact it had on me. So whether it was showing my cows at the county fair or whether it was livestock judging, 4-H gives those kids the confidence building skills that's necessary to be leaders in today's world. So that is the presentation I had prepared for you this morning, and I would love if you guys had any questions for me, and I'm here to answer them if you have them.
Commissioners, questions?
No questions, but I want to thank you for your, good start in your job, and thanks for our gifts that you gave us.
And included is our most recent publication of the Clover update for Todd County. So you guys are able to get a grip on what's going on. So
Yeah, for myself, it's nice to finally meet you in person.
yes, absolutely.
You probably have exchanged emails or whatnot.
Well,
yeah,
yes,
phone calls.
and yes, different things through.
So, Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Broadband, have you noticed there's a shortage within the county?
Yes, that is definitely one of the biggest hurdles that we experienced with having to use virtual educational options. So that was something that we had to talk through with certain families in more of our rural areas, and we had contingency plans in place if they didn't have the technology capabilities. So
Okay.
whether it would be myself and our intern coming out to take the pictures and uploading them ourselves in the office, we were going to bend over backwards to make sure all kids had the same opportunities.
Great, thank you.
Maybe a letter from 4-H to our legislators telling them some of the downfalls on.
Myself, I
Good
wasn't
idea.
able to get internet at
Yeah.
our new house until
They
July.
need to hear that, because we're
Yes.
looking for funding to get broadband here, and of course, we're spotty here in our county, but there's a lot of area that doesn't have coverage. So
That's a good idea, though. It could be
Yeah.
from new experience
I
comes
mean,
innovation.
Has
Yeah.
to show the impact here, so even though it's been successful, we're still have weak spots, so,
There's always room for improvement.
yes. And I'm assuming you'll never forget your first day of employment.
I'm a huge people person, so this was something I definitely was chomping at the bit to get to meet you guys, and I've been able to get to a few clubs to do some meet and greets, socially distanced, of course, but it's been exciting and different, but different is sometimes good, so.
Change doesn't hurt.
We're very thrilled that Alyssa brings her experience from NDSU Extension here. So it's wonderful that she just happened to land here, and we're very thankful that she is a part of the team. So one thing I would like to say is that we do have a proclamation that we'd like you to sign, if possible. This is National 4-H Week.
It is.
We're celebrating National 4-H Week. So I don't know if that's something you wanted to go into next? Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for that segue.
Prompt.
So it is National 4-H Week. So it started on the 4th and will go until the 10th. And I think there's no better way to share 4-H's story than a proclamation sharing its importance. I gave personal testimony, and I know there are many people in the room that could do the same. Vote of confidence that this would be a great decision to sign the proclamation declaring National 4-H Week in Todd County.
Great. Have we done that before?
We haven't.
Yeah.
Not in the last number of years. So
I can't
we
remember
thought,
doing it, yeah.
since we were going to bring Alyssa today to meet you, this would be a great way to honor National 4-H Week.
Absolutely, yes.
So, okay, we'll come back at the end of the meeting and grab a photo,
Okay.
maybe with Alyssa and you as county board chair,
Okay.
if that would work.
Do you want us
Is there
to,
a motion and?
on the proclamation, do we need to do a motion and a
Okay.
second and a call? So do I hear a motion from the board, please?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kenizel. Any discussion? And thank you for doing that and your presentation, and I hope we can do this each year with the board.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll do
So,
that.
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Oh, she is, yes.
Morning.
Good morning.
You do not have to wear your mask if you do not want to in the boardroom.
I was wondering how I was gonna do that and read this proclamation, so, thank you.
Well, it's a lot easier to communicate without them on.
Yeah, can see it.
Okay, welcome, go ahead.
All right, I'm here to read the Domestic Violence Proclamation for 2020. And I just really see that I brought the 2019 proclamation with me.
It's on there, can you read it up there, Connie, or not?
Yes, I can read it up there. Whereas home is defined as an enjoyable, happy place where you can live, laugh, and learn, and where you are loved, respected, and cared for. And whereas for many of us, that is our home. But there is also folks living in our county that live in fear, intimidation, physical and sexual abuse, and others have never had a hand laid on them, but live in the intense world of humiliation, degradation, and hostility financial and psychological abuse. And whereas domestic violence is a crime, not just a family matter, and children oftentimes suffer long-term physical and mental health victimization, sometimes ending up in their own violent relationship. Whereas to date, Hands of Hope has worked with a total of 87 victims, 54 new females and 7 new males, returning, and 27 returning from clients from prior years, as well as multiple children and secondary victims. And whereas without intervention, the cycle of violence can perpetrate through generations. Our children deserve better from us. We need to actively advocate for nonviolence by getting involved, volunteering, holding those that act violent accountable for their actions, and believing and supporting those that are victimized. And now, therefore, let it be resolved in recognition of Domestic Violence Awareness Month 2020. We, the Todd County Board of Commissioners, along with Hands of Hope Resource Center, urge all citizens of Todd County to safely do your part in eliminating domestic violence in our communities. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any discussion before, guys? If not, I have a motion. Entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Any questions, commissioners? I'm assuming them stats are, for this year?
They are for this year, and actually, we had, that was done back in early September, so we actually have now 60 new female clients from 2020. The male clients are about the same, but we have seen a slight uptick with the COVID since we come back from our little break this spring in the violence. More people are staying home and drinking instead of going out and drinking, and not that it maybe makes a big difference, but apparently add alcohol to an already volatile situation and it definitely escalates, so.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing, I believe, Chris and them are on remotely. Chris and Jeremy, am I correct? Are you guys on?
Yes, Commissioners, good morning.
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 Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you may recall that we recently received your permission to have a public hearing with the first reading on October 20th for a waste designation ordinance. The Todd County process is to have 2 readings, so we're just adding the second reading here, requesting your authorization for the second reading, the ordinance on November 2nd.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. Did you say this was the first or second? Second?
We're, the
Would be the first.
November 2nd meeting would be the second reading.
Okay. So this would be the first?
And the first will be on October 20th.
20th, okay.
We should have asked you to do 2 readings, and we had only asked you for 1.
Okay, so you're just informing us of this then, is that correct, Chris?
We have to set the
Help me.
date.
I think we need you to authorize the
Action.
second reading.
Take
We
action
have to
on it.
approve those dates.
Yep.
All right.
When does the voting take place then?
What's that?
When does the voting or the approval?
Next date, November 3rd is election day.
So it would be after the second reading?
She's asking when
Oh,
does
the
this
voting
be?
on this, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I believe, and Chris McCon can correct me, but I believe the idea would be that this would be passed in the same meeting behind, after the hearing on November 2nd? Or it could wait till the meeting
Yes.
after that, whatever is desired?
Yeah, that's correct.
So we could have the second and final reading on the second and then vote on it on the second.
Correct.
Okay. So commissioners, you've heard those 2 dates. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Any more discussion? We all understand it now? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? carried. And this is on our website, right, Chris and Chris? Double Chris?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. And comments can come in that way, right?
Comments,
Yes.
Okay.
comments
All right.
can come in through email through the clerk.
Email too? All right. Okay, that's all we need, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
Okay, Adam, go ahead.
Okay. First item today, the Kabliska Brothers final plat. A subdivision request was to establish a preliminary plat on parcel 22-001-0000 containing one lot. Was approved for preliminary platting on September 15th, 2020. The preliminary plat was approved with no conditions. Planning and zoning has completed the review of this proposed plat and determined that all the requirements have been met for final platting. So the option would be move to approve the request to establish the Kabliska Brothers final plat or deny the request. The recommendation at this time is to approve final platting of the Kabliska Brothers plat on parcel 22-001-0000 with no conditions.
Okay. Heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I stuck that Mylar next to your desk already.
Awesome, we'll take care of that for you.
Okay, next. Long Prairie River MOA and establishment of policy committee members. Todd County, along with the planning partners, has received grant funding for the development of a comprehensive watershed management plan through the One Watershed, One Plan. In order to begin the planning process, Todd County must enter in a memorandum of agreement with our planning partners. The MOA has been reviewed by County Attorney Chuck Rasmussen and has been provided for review. Additionally, the planning process requires establishment of policy committee members to represent this board at the policy committee meetings. At the September 15 work session, it was decided that Commissioner Barb Becker would be appointed to the policy committee and Commissioner Rod Erickson would be appointed as the alternate. A motion to approve the MOA, the options here. A motion to approve the MOA and assign policy committee members. A motion to deny the MOA and not assign any policy committee members, or to table this item to allow time for additional review. The recommendation at this time is to approve the memorandum of agreement for the Long Prairie River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan and assign Commissioner Barb Becker as a policy committee member and Commissioner Rod Erickson as the alternate.
Okay, you've heard the three requests. Which one would you like to move on?
I'll move on number one.
Motion by Commissioner Canizzo to approve the MOA and assign the policy committee members. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this looks like a very simple, well put together form.
Are we looking at the MOA right now? This is Bowser's template document. I don't know if they've changed over the years. I'm sure they have been edited over the years, but it was modified slightly based on each county attorney's input.
Right.
Otter Tail County submitted some really minor changes that were implemented into this, and I think the county attorneys have had conversations themselves and think it all looks good, so
Yeah.
here we are.
All right. Any more discussion? Excuse me. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Next.
Okay. Tim Forcier's second year violation assessment. This is on parcel 15-007-9700. The property has failed to take corrective actions to resolve violations for miscellaneous public nuisance items. This is again one that was assessed last year. So the options would be a motion to place a $2,000 assessment on this property for the 2021 tax year for failure to correct the violations. A motion to acknowledge this violation but not place the $2,000 assessment, or 3, take no action. The recommendation is to acknowledge a violation and place a $2,000 assessment on the property for 2021 tax year, and further allowing the opportunity for the property owner to resolve the violation by December 29th, 2020, at which time the county board may choose to rescind this official action.
Okay. Heard the request. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, could I ask Adam a question? You just stated like last year, we can put it on, but we have to do it at this point of time in order for it to get put on the taxes.
You might be better suited to answer that piece of
Yes.
it.
Yes, so in order for it to be accessible onto the property taxes and payable 2021, the assessment has to be set by October 15th of the prior year,
Okay,
which is coming
and
very soon.
if they go ahead and make improvements or clean it up,
Yep.
we still have a chance to take it off their
Correct,
taxes.
and we'll follow up. Last year, what we did is, after this meeting, sent document or letters stating exactly what happened and that they have that opportunity. I think last year, about half of them got fixed up that initially had the assessment, and we removed that later.
Okay.
So, yep.
So, Mr. Chair, I have a question. Is the letters that are sent out, are they signed by yourself or
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I mean, it's planning and
just a
zoning
generic,
office.
is it just a generic planning and zoning letter saying that you need to upgrade, or are you signing it personally as director?
I honestly can't remember from last year. I
Okay,
can look at that, though. I know a lot of our letters are just general planning and zoning. But we can do whatever you want. It makes no difference to me, because ultimately, these all come on my desk anyway, so.
okay.
Well, it's more official if you, excuse me, sign the letter than just sending an unsigned
Yeah.
letter. So.
Yeah, and yeah, we can certainly do that. I can't remember off the top of my head what this final letter looked like from last year.
Okay, any more discussion?
No, thank you.
I need a motion. Did I have one? No.
No.
Is there a motion?
So,
Motion by Commissioner Kenizel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Any more discussion? If not, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, next one.
Okay, Stephen and Daniel Owen, second year violation assessment. This is on parcel 22-000-7500. Property failed to take corrective actions to resolve violations for more than one dwelling per parcel, establishment of a new dwelling without land use permitting, excess abandoned mobile homes and other public nuisance items, and failure to obtain septic permitting for a new dwelling. Again, the same options would be to place the $2,000 assessment for 2021, to acknowledge this violation but not place the assessment, or take no action. The recommendation would be to acknowledge the violation and place the $2,000 assessment on the property for 2021, and further allowing the opportunity for the property owners to resolve the violation by December 29th, 2020, at which time the board could choose to rescind the official action.
Okay, for the request, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Erickson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kenizel. Discussion? If not, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Okay, James E. Stemig, second year violation assessment. This is on parcel 27-000-7201. This property failed to take corrective actions to resolve violations for miscellaneous public nuisance items. The option would be to place a $2,000 assessment on this property for 2021 tax year, to acknowledge a violation but not place the assessment, or 3, take no action. The recommendation would be to acknowledge a violation and place the $2,000 assessment on the property for 2021, and then further allowing the opportunity for the property owner to resolve the violation by December 29, 2020, in which the county board could rescind the official action.
Okay, for the request, is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Kenizel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion? If not, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Next.
Okay. Linda Jean Hanson, first year violation assessment. This is on parcel 0800363300. This property is violation for an open septic tank that qualifies as an eminent public health threat. This property was initially assessed in 2019, but the assessment was not placed on the property. And P&Z is suggesting the assessment process be initiated in 2020. So motion to place a $1,000 assessment on the property for 2021 tax year for failure to correct the violation. A motion to acknowledge the violation but not place the $1,000 assessment, or to take no action. So the recommendation would place the $1,000 assessment on this property for the 2021 tax year for failure to correct this violation. And if you remember back to the work session 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, this is one where she just stated to me last year that, well, do what you gotta do and assess me. And that was what we did. We didn't allow her to rescind it, and there's been no progress. But because it was outside of those that came back to you in December, I failed to get it up to the the auditor's office for the assessment. So that's why we're back here, and for the $1,000 assessment this year to start the assessment process.
Okay, you've heard the request. There's 3 items there for a request.
I'll make the motion for number 1.
Commissioner Kanizel makes a motion for item number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Okay, Marianne Gering, first year violation assessment. This is on parcel 25004620. This property is violation for accumulation of public nuisance items, including trash, junk, and household garbage. The option would be to place a $1,000 assessment on the property for 2021 tax year. Acknowledge a violation but not place the assessment, or 3, take no action. The recommendation would be to acknowledge this violation and place a $1,000 assessment for 2021 tax year, and further allow the opportunity to correct the violation by December 29th, when the county board may choose to rescind the official decision. In addition, I don't know, David, if you had any comments, I know that he's been working with this one also on the public health side.
Yes, so we have submitted back on August 12th, the report was sent to County Attorney Rasmussen. We do believe this property is a public health nuisance. We've been fighting with it for several years. We sent certified letters to the Gervings at their property in Florida. They contacted me in August and said they would begin cleanup immediately, and as of last Friday, there has not been any progress. So we are waiting on final word from Attorney Rasmussen about public health nuisance violation as well.
Okay. Heard the request. There is 3 items again to move. Which one would you like, Commissioners?
Motion for number 1.
Commissioner Erickson moves for number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kanizel. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, Harold G. Harcum, first year violation. This is on parcel 25000. That is a mistake. That's one from a previous one. So, I'm not sure what parcel this is. We'll have to get that corrected. But this property is in violation for accumulation of junk vehicles and accumulation of other junk items that constitute a public nuisance. So the option would be to place a $1,000 assessment on this property for the 2021 tax year for failure to correct this violation. Or a motion to acknowledge the violation but not place the assessment, or 3, take no action. The recommendation at this time is to acknowledge the violation, place a $1,000 assessment on the property for 2021 tax year, and again, further allow the opportunity for the property owner to resolve the violation by December 29th, in which the county board could rescind the official action.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman, and that'll be, you'll change the parcel.
Yeah, we'll have to just get the parcel number corrected. That must have been one from before. Actually, that is right. It's a different township, but it's the same ending, I think. So it might be correct. I'll just have to confirm that.
Anyway, you'll research that.
Yep.
All right, any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, Jeffrey J. and Christine Coleman, first year violation assessment. This is parcel 2100402000. This property is in violation for accumulation of public nuisance items, including old cars, trailer homes, and structures in need of repair. The option would be a motion to place a $1,000 assessment on this property for 2021. A motion to acknowledge this violation but not place the assessment, or 3, take no action. The recommendation at this time would be to acknowledge a violation and place a $1,000 assessment on the property for the 2021 tax year, and further allow the opportunity for the property owner to resolve the violation by December 29, 2020, in which the county board could choose to rescind the official action. Mr. Coolman has made some progress. I don't know if anybody's been by it. He put up a fence to screen it, but there's definitely some additional items that need to be cleaned up and removed. He does want to get a land use permit to fix up the old dance hall there, but we can't issue a permit unless he gets some of those other items cleaned up first. So he intends to make some progress here, but I think placing the assessment and allowing him, a few months here to get some more progress done, and then hopefully he can make that progress and we can remove this at that December board meeting.
So has he taken the rafters off the building?
I know they're still sitting there as is. That has not been touched.
That's been there for how long?
And that, a long time. Long before I've been here.
Right.
So I don't know the full
Well,
history
they
of it.
were
but-
upright at one time.
Yeah.
I'll move number 1, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Newman moves for number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Discussion?
Yeah, I had a lot of calls on this, and then even from the township, so.
We receive a call or two every year checking on progress, and I think we're finally getting somewhere, hopefully, and we want to see continued progress.
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Okay. August Langseth, first year violation assessment on parcel 1900244700. This property is in violation of accumulation of trash, junk, and inoperable vehicles that constitute a public nuisance. The options would be a motion to place a $1,000 assessment for 2021, motion to acknowledge this violation but not place the assessment, or 3, take no action. And the recommendation is to acknowledge the violation and place a $1,000 assessment for 2021. Allow the opportunity for the property owner to resolve the violation by December 29, 2020, in which the county board could rescind the official action.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion for any of those 3?
So move for number 1.
All right, Commissioner Becker moves for number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kneisel. Discussion? If not, all's in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried. Something just hit me, if I'm reading this right. We're not putting the names on the requests. Is that standard?
The names on the request.
Well, you got the names here, but they're not on the board action, are they? Oh, yeah, there it is on top. I'm sorry. I was looking at the small print.
Yeah.
My apologies. I was looking down here, and I couldn't see it, so. All right, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, this is for Georgianne M. and David W. Larson, first year violation assessment on parcel 20-003-0703. This property is in violation for accumulation of public nuisance items, illegal placement of 2 residences on a government 40, and lack of septic compliance. The option would be number 1, a motion to place a $1,000 assessment for the 2021 tax year. 2, a motion to acknowledge the violation but not place the assessment, or 3, take no action. The recommendation would be to acknowledge the violation and place a $1,000 assessment on the property for 2021, and allow the opportunity for the property owner to resolve the violation by December 29, 2020, in which the county board could rescind the official action.
Okay, you've heard the request. There's 3 items.
Motion for number 1.
Motion for number 1 by Commissioner Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Is Georgianne, didn't she pass away?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we take that right off the
Her
parcel
name,
information,
yeah.
so that must have just not been updated.
Well, it's still in her name, I would
Yeah,
assume.
yeah.
My question is I see some serious violations here. Why haven't we sought prosecution?
That I have no idea what the
There's
history there.
There's no septic compliance.
Yeah, and they had some septic issues. I think they got it corrected on one of them, but then they placed more houses out there and never got permitting on those, so we really don't know the history of what is even in place on this property.
Well, that's my other point. They had no permit for the second home.
Yes, they wouldn't even have been issued a permit.
Right, that's against the rules.
Yes, yep. There's layered things going on here.
Yeah.
And up until this point, I don't know that we had a lot of teeth for any assessment or to go after these, and this new assessment process really gives us an opportunity to get some of these things corrected, hopefully.
If they pay their taxes.
Yes, that's the catch there.
Well, I don't think this is gonna motivate this group, but I just think that, you know, they're blatant violations. We generally wouldn't tolerate that from anybody else, so.
Yeah, and I'm sure I could go back, I'm sure there's been a history of letters sent, notices, but there's just never been a lot of teeth in order to get some progress made with these.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I'll wait for you to. Okay, this is for Jack E. McCoy, first year violation assessment. This is on parcel 0600513000 and 0600515000. This property is in violation for miscellaneous public nuisance items, house and disrepair, accumulation of trash, and failure to comply with the conditions of a CUP. The options are a motion to place a $1,000 assessment on this property for the 2021 tax year for failure to correct the violation, motion to acknowledge the violation but not place the assessment, or 3, take no action. The recommendation would be to acknowledge the violation and place a $1,000 assessment on just parcel 0600513000 for the 2021 tax year, and further allow the opportunity for the property owner to resolve the violation by December 29, 2020, at which time the county board may choose to rescind the official action. I did do a site visit on this one, I think late last week or something, and he has made some progress, cleaned up some of the blocks and stuff like that, but we never once this whole year had contact with Jack, and I think if we can really have that opportunity between now and December, I think we can get this one more progress, or maybe even resolve it totally, because the CUP that was issued on it probably isn't even valid anymore because he's not using it for that purpose. So just to correct those things, but I think at this time, to place the assessment and have that there in case we don't make any progress with him is the appropriate course of action, and hopefully we can get in touch with Jack and work with him between now and December.
I don't think he's using it for anything.
I don't think so either. It just,
I know when you brought it a couple weeks ago, he had already cleaned up a lot of that stuff, but,
yeah. When I drove by, you know, the weeds are bad.
Yeah,
It could have a little more cleanup and organization. The house is, I'm assuming, beyond repair of any sort.
Yeah,
But,
he moved
and
that
it's in
in
a
there,
residential area, so people see it.
he moved it in there, but the CUP wasn't granted for, well, maybe it was, but it was a lot of resistance in that area. but-
Yes, yep.
All right, do we have a motion? And which item would you like?
Motion number 1.
Okay, Commissioner Erickson moves for item number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kneisel. Discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. I just have a question on this
Sure.
one too. If we're assessing, he's not been very good about paying his taxes. Does he have a food license now?
I don't believe they are operating this year, so.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
I
what I
don't
was
know the
wondering.
status on that environmental health thing right now.
Okay.
Catherine might, and I believe she's out there if you'd like to know.
I know we've sent letters to him in the past for the other ranch that he runs, and he has not been good about paying his taxes and nor doing some satisfactory issues with the cooking stuff, so. Okay, thank you.
Okay, this is Gerald and Patricia Nelson, first year violation assessment. This is on parcel 130002200. Property is in violation for non-compliant septic system that constitutes an imminent public health threat. The option would be to place a $1,000 assessment for 2021 for failure to correct the violation. A motion to acknowledge the violation and not place the $1,000 assessment, or 3, take no action. The recommendation at this time is to acknowledge the violation and place a $1,000 assessment on the property for 2021, and further allowing the opportunity for the property owners to resolve the violation by December 29, 2020, at which time the county board may choose to rescind this official action. Just a brief update on this one. We did receive an application from the property owners for our county low-interest loan program. And so they're getting plans together to replace the septic and get it all corrected. But that's about all we have, is they haven't even paid the application fee. All they did is submit the document, and the rest of it's missing. So I suspect and hope that by December we'll have this one resolved and we'll be able to remove this one also. But at this time, there hasn't been really much progress other than conversation.
Okay. Heard the request. Which one would you prefer? Is there a motion?
Motion number 1.
Motion by Commissioner Kenizel for number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Discussion? If not, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, William J. and Marcia K. Owen, first year violation assessment on parcel 2200070001. Property is in violation for accumulation of public nuisance items and an unpermitted mobile home. The option would be to place a $1,000 assessment on the property for 2021, or a motion to acknowledge the violation and not place the assessment or take no action. The recommendation would be to acknowledge the violation and place a $1,000 assessment on this property for 2021 tax year, and further allowing the opportunity for the property owner to resolve the violation by December 29, 2020, at which time the county board may choose to rescind the official decision. This is one that they claimed they hauled out hundreds and hundreds of pounds of garbage from the site. So we went up there. I sent Lauren up there last week, and he did a site visit and had a really hard time determining that anything was done. So that's how we arrived here today.
Okay. You've heard the request. Which one would you like, Commissioners? Is there a motion?
Make a motion for number 1.
Commissioner Erickson moves for number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Discussion? If not, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Okay. This is for Wayne B. and Belinda Prather, first year violation assessment on parcel 1300002200. This property is in violation for accumulation of public nuisance items and multiple homes on a single parcel without permitting. A motion to place a the options would be a motion to place a $1,000 assessment on the property for the 2021 tax year, motion to acknowledge the violation and not place the assessment, or 3, to take no action. The recommendation at this time is to acknowledge the violation and place a $1,000 assessment on the property for the 2021 tax year, and further allow the opportunity for the property owner to resolve the violation by December 29, 2020, at which time the county board may choose to rescind the official decision.
Okay, you've heard the request. Which one would you like, Commissioners? Is there a motion?
Motion number 1.
Commissioner Kenizel moves for number 1. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Discussion? Not, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Thank
that is
you.
all.
Okay, Health and Human Services.
Good morning.
Chair's nice and warm. I'll have to thank Adam.
Here,
Kept it warm for us. All right, our first board action form is around the tobacco ordinance revision. Some background, the Todd County Tobacco Sales and Access Ordinance has been updated to align with the state and federal laws to raise the minimum legal age to purchase tobacco at 21 years of age. The ordinance is available for public comment on Todd County's website starting October 6th through the 30th of 2020. The ordinance will have its first reading at the Todd County Board meeting on October 20th, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. The second reading of the ordinance will occur at the Todd County Board meeting on November 2nd, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. Our recommendation is to set the Todd County Tobacco Sales and Access Ordinance dates for the first reading as October 20th, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. and its second reading as October 2nd, 2020 at 9:30 a.m.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion? Not, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Thank you. And at the work session, we will go into the ordinance and discuss the changes. And again, it was to follow the state and federal mandates
Okay.
moving forward. So thank you for that. All
Okay,
right,
update.
I have Catherine here for our second board action form. If there's any additional questions regarding the COVID-19 situation update.
As of October 5th, 2020, Todd County has 540 lab-confirmed COVID-19 cases and 2 related COVID deaths. Many people with COVID are not tested like we state each time we're here. So the laboratory-confirmed cases represent only a portion of the number of people in Todd County who have tested for COVID-19. Cases no longer needing isolation is 479, which is 89% of our population that have tested positive. And again, that's from the date of test date, first test date. Male is about 283 or 52.4% of the population, and then female 46.1, which is 249 of those individuals. Age ranges, again, are from 1 month to 90 years, and our case average is 39.2. Total COVID tests performed in Todd County as of October 1st is 7,231 with a 7.7 positivity rate. Catherine and I were talking just a little bit about that. Our positivity rate is high because we started out high with our outbreak. Today's ages, we're really finding we have 1 individual under the age of 18. Otherwise, it's community spread, and it goes anywhere from 4 to 90 years of age. So, and there are no hot spots. It is truly community spread throughout the county. Tests completed overall for the state of Minnesota is 2,169,786. Total approximate people tested, positive people, are 1,494,177. And again, the lab confirmed positives are 100,004,799. Deaths throughout the state of Minnesota is 2,083, with a total hospitalized, again, through the pandemic is 7,940. Again, the age ranges is between average for the state is 20 to 24 with a community exposure. We continue to work with the schools, and we send them a daily update with our case rates. The dates posted on MDH, October 8th, will be 17.18 with 42 cases. Specimen collection dates between September 13th through September 26th. And then the second date posted by MDH will be October 15th with a case rate of 24.96. And again, we're seeing those numbers go up, which is going to be 61 cases posted between the dates of September 20th through October 3rd.
So
Anything to add,
I'm
Catherine?
sure everyone's interested in knowing why are we seeing an increase right now. So since mid-September, we've seen a pretty dramatic increase in our cases in Todd County, right? So I dug through the data a little bit more. One is more people are being tested, right? Which is what you would anticipate. So in July, the average week, we tested 232 people. In August, an average week was 278. And September, an average week is 407. So we're seeing a pretty significant increase of those getting tested. But we're also seeing more people test positive. So we're seeing that positivity rate increase as well. If you look at the county as a whole, it's dropping, but that's just due, like Jackie said, it started high. We are seeing an increase in that. So September brought a couple changes, right, which is why we're seeing more people tested and more people testing positive. Of course, kids are in school. And while we're not seeing kids testing positive, at least not in our county, we are seeing a lot of school staff. We are seeing a lot of family members testing positive, and we're seeing, well, we're not seeing outbreaks in specific areas, we're seeing clusters in households. So we're seeing where the grandparents test positive and the parents do, and possibly a child, right, as well. So a lot of those family gatherings that were happening outside are now happening inside. So we're seeing connections with indoor weddings, funerals, family gatherings, birthday parties, all those things that are now moving indoors seem to be impacting that rate as well. Questions?
I think on our case positivity rate, you said 7.8 or something is what our Todd County one, or 7.7?
That's our cumulative, yeah.
Our cumulative one, and I think the state is only 7.8.
5.6, I think, about that.
Really? I thought I read that this morning, that it was 7.8, but I could be wrong.
It could be.
Yeah.
I'll
I've been wrong before.
There you go, Rob.
And there were some people that picked up on that, I don't know.
There are people.
5.3
Odd.
is what I have.
You have what, 5 point something?
5.3.
For the state?
Yeah.
And ours has actually declined on a gradual rate because of the early.
It was very high at the beginning. You know, when we had an outbreak, we were testing people and 30% were positive, which is incredibly high. So it's gradually declined. Just in the past couple weeks in September, and this data is a little old, we have about a 3 to 4% positivity rate, but I do anticipate when we get the results for the past 2 weeks for that to be much higher.
And I would guess too, and I don't suppose there's any tracking of asymptomatic type stuff because of all the kids getting sent home, you know, with questionable type things, then the families become requested to go get their own tests done and stuff before they can return. Is that right? Am I stating that right? Correct me if I'm stating anything wrong.
I sure will. I think it's really a really good question. So, and I have those same questions. We know kids are getting tested, right? And we aren't seeing kids are getting tested because you're right. If a kid is sent home with those common symptoms or 2 more least common symptoms, they are encouraged to get tested before they come back. Schools cannot force a kid to get tested, you know, can't force parents to. So either a child stays home for about 10 days or they get tested and they can come back with a negative test. So we're seeing about 50-50 with parents getting their kids tested or not. One of my concerns is if they don't get them tested and they were positive, there's no contact tracing being done, right? So that is a concern. But I'm glad you asked about asymptomatic and symptomatic. I actually pulled, and this is cumulative, our total data since our first case on April 12th. And out of 462 cases, there's unknown for about 80 of our cases. 18% were asymptomatic, which I think is a large enough study that you could pull that. 18% asymptomatic, 82% symptomatic. So right, where we see asymptomatic testing is a lot for those healthcare workers that are required to get tested in long-term care, things like that, but also for people who are deemed a close contact. We do encourage people who are a close contact, especially in our schools, to get tested on day 5 to 7, because that's typically when you're going to see you'll be the most infectious. And you're right, a lot of kids are asymptomatic, but we're still not seeing kids test positive, not at this point.
Right. I was kind of insinuating that the ones at home could have been even asymptomatic, like the parents and stuff. As the kid gets tested and sent home, then I think it's a request by a lot of employers that the parents have to get tested before they can go back to work too. So it kind of just plans out into the whole family when it happens. But
it sure does. And I think it's difficult for parents. You know, if your kid shows no symptoms, why would you get them tested, even as a close contact? But we do encourage that because I do think kids are infectious, right? And, you know, there's been studies around that as well. And we know kids can get the virus and pass it on. What's interesting is we aren't seeing that yet in Todd County. We are seeing across the state, even though that they don't have a ton. I think there's only about 500 staff and 500 students across the state that have tested positive. So the concern is those staff. As you know, our schools can't run without their teachers. And so I think that has been a major issue right now, is that we're seeing a lot of staff out on quarantine and out due to illness. So.
Catherine, what is our turnaround date with the COVID testing with our facilities? Is it that 5 to 7 days yet that we're seeing?
I'm seeing 3 to 5. You know, I got tested with my son when he had a fever a couple weeks ago, and it is about 3 to 5 days. I don't think it's too bad. Understand how the courier system works. Like if you get tested in Sauk Center and Long Prairie, it has to be couried to St. Cloud, right, and then go from there to Mayo. So based on, you know, kind of when you get tested, it can be delayed a little bit more, same as the weekends. But 3 to 5 days, which is not as bad as it could be. We do know there are some rapid tests available. We have heard that out of the Alexandria Alamere Hospital, where you can go and get tested and get a result in an hour, which is fantastic. Our other healthcare systems don't have access to that same equipment to do that. So we know there has been some opportunity there to get tested and get a quicker return.
Well, the governor shut us down, so give the hospitals time to get organized and whatever else. You said they don't have this equipment. Why didn't they get this equipment to do rapid tests?
So from what I know, and I don't want to, I don't work at Lakewood or CentraCare. Alamere is associated with Stanford, we know that, right? From what I know, they can process with their equipment and their supplies 400 rapid tests a day. Our other healthcare systems do not have access to that. Right now, they save the rapid tests for those in emergencies, OB. If you get in a surgery, often sometimes you'll get a rapid test.
Hospital admission need.
Yep, that kind of thing. And I don't know why, Dave. I don't know why they have access to it at Alamere and they don't at the other
To me,
healthcare
it would just
systems.
make more sense that their stimulus money would be used to do that, to get them rapid tests so the hospitals can rapid test.
And even what the availability is
Yeah,
of the
I mean,
equipment, we're not real sure.
We gotta wait 3 to 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's kind of a slow process.
Right,
to
our
find out
superintendents
they got
were
it.
very interested in their teachers getting a much faster response, because they can be out for a week,
Yeah.
you know, if they're getting tested. And that's what I heard back from Lakewood, Tri-County, and Centricare, is that they don't have the ability right now to give those rapid tests to
And
teachers.
My next question is, we're approaching, or maybe are in the flu season, and how do you determine the difference between flu and COVID?
It's difficult. We're working on doing some flu vaccine clinics for our higher populations through the month of October to then offer it to our own employees in early November.
Yeah.
It's gonna be difficult. I mean, if you're following the recommendations to stay home until you're tested, they're very similar, a lot alike, which is why they really want us to vaccinate as many people that are interested as we can, especially those with high morbidity or chronic health conditions.
And we aren't seeing flu yet, I would say. We haven't seen any,
No,
We'll
but,
start seeing those
we
come out
will.
soon
We're getting
from
close to this
MDH.
yeah, it's a difficult thing, I think, that they'll probably test for both, to be honest, and you'll just have to see.
Well, then, my next question was, what do you have on recovery rate for the state for your percentages? What's the recovery rate?
Ooh, that was on the website.
You mean those out of isolation?
Those out of
Well, just
isolation.
recovery, you get it, well, yeah,
Survival.
whatever.
Survival.
It was,
Oh,
I think,
survival.
80, was ours 86? I seen an 86% this morning.
You're talking
when I was-
mortality rate?
Or survival rate, whatever.
Mortality rate for different ages, right?
It is posted on the website,
I've been
who is
hearing
out of
99
isolation.
point some percent.
They've
and
changed
I
the
couldn't-
analytics a little bit,
Okay.
with those no longer needing hospitalization, those in ICU.
So if anyone has a calculator, I'd say it's about 2% more, because if you look at, we have 100,000 cases, we've had cumulative cases, and we have 2,000 deaths, right? So is that my correct holding forward math? That's about 2%.
Holding for it.
Mr. Chair, I got a couple questions. When are we gonna start offering free tests in Todd County?
COVID-19 test?
Yep.
I believe with most healthcare providers, they are free. So they're gonna take your insurance information, and I don't know that, any of them, and I can't speak for all health.
It's not
health-
if it is,
plans.
it's not posted because like last night, I looked at the AMC website that we get on COVID, and Ely was having free, COVID tests today. And I told my wife, I said, let's go see your mom. I said, I can get a free test. I have not heard in Todd County, and I've had that question asked to me, where can I go to get a free test?
So you're
That's-
talking anyone can get tested regardless of symptoms,
Okay.
right? So the testing, our National Guard has done these testing sites across the counties. I will say, it's a good opportunity to get tested just to get tested, right? The concern is, again, our case rate. Remember, if we offer these free testing to anyone and everyone, a lot of people go in who are asymptomatic, get tested, test positive. That will increase our case rate. You're right, it's a good opportunity to get tested regardless, but it's still more important to go once you have symptoms, right? Because if we have the National Guard, I know, did these all over the state, the issue is you can test positive for so long, let's say about 8 weeks, right? That if you get tested today, if I went in, no symptoms, got tested today, how do you know if I'm infectious or not? It's a very difficult thing if you don't wait until you have symptoms or until you have a close contact. Does that make sense? Because you're right, Randy, they provide these testing sites all over the state, right? And normally that's in more hotbed outbreak areas, highly dense populated areas where anyone can get tested, which means you don't have to have symptoms. Right now, healthcare, you call, they screen you for symptoms.
So I'm gonna go with that. With prime example was yesterday morning, my mom was brought in by ambulance, and she got tested right away yesterday morning. Okay, I got an email from the EMTs from Osakis going, have the test results come back from COVID? And I said, no, I don't know when they're gonna come back. Well, I kept in contact with my sister. Well, finally, a little after 8 o'clock last night, my sister did call me and said, hey, mom's test come back negative. But in the meantime, it's like you're sitting there, and I had a board meeting today, and I'm crapping tacks going, okay, is she positive? Isn't she? Okay. But when you call Central Care in Long Prairie and get put on hold for 45 minutes or a half an hour, it's really upsetting, because I don't know what the hell they did over there, but when you have a elderly parent that gets sent in by emergency, number one, you can't go in there, okay? So, sit out in the parking lot. Well, what the hell good's that gonna do? But number two is the information. Trying to get a hold of somebody in that damn hospital to tell me how my mom was. You know, it's very upsetting, especially with the COVID going on. So I don't know who we contacted Central Care, but damn it, there's gotta be somebody, and I know crap starts at the top, so.
So what happened with Central Care a couple months ago, and this is, again, we've had these conversations with Central Care because it is very concerning to a number of people. They combined their call center into one call center. It used to be you call Sauk Center or call Long Prairie, you get someone from Sauk Center or Long Prairie. That's no longer the case. They do have the option, and I'll just say I use this option, and it wasn't, you can leave your number and they'll call you back. That's not great. I would suggest if you have a direct number, you call up someone direct. And even when you get in contact with someone, ask for a direct number. Unfortunately, we've communicated this to Central Care multiple times about this concern. What if you're on break at the packing plant and have to set up an appointment and you have 15 minutes, right? It's impossible to set up an appointment. So I am very concerned that people aren't getting tested and just aren't getting general preventative care because of that. We have communicated that to Central Care many times.
Does it need to come from the five of us? Because it is affecting the health, safety, and welfare of our constituents. I mean, when we have individuals that need an emergency, well, luckily I called 911, but that's a different story. You shouldn't have to call 911 to get to call somebody at the hospital.
I don't think it would hurt to draft a letter and have it signed by our board chair.
I would love to do that, if we could. So, thank you
Or
for listening to me.
contact somebody from the board who's on their board, or local
I would
board.
just like to add that the administration at Long Prairie Central Care is also incredibly frustrated with this process. The decision's not coming from them.
It's
so
coming from
drafting a letter.
corporate.
And we probably understand that.
Yeah, I mean,
I do have another question. Maybe it's, how many false positives are there and how many false negatives, do you know?
For the SARS-CoV-2 test, the normal PCR test that's done, it's very sensitive, and so there aren't a lot of false positives, false negatives. The issue is it's almost too sensitive, right? You test positive for so long. So it's not so much a false positive as it is difficult to understand if you're still infectious. Do you know what I mean? So that's a difficult thing. But I will say, Dave, I believe it's like 98, 99% accurate. The issue, and serology tests are different. So the basic PCR test that people do to confirm if they were COVID positive is very, very good, but it's almost too good, is the issue we're running into, because you can test positive, and we see this in our long-term care facilities. When you test everyone, people test positive who are completely asymptomatic, but you don't know when they actually were infectious, and so it's challenging.
And then in Duluth, I know they were broadcasting their first saliva testing. I never heard anything after that. Whatever, was it successful or not?
I know it's the first site they set up to do saliva testing. Similar thing, you could go in and do the saliva testing. You know, saliva test kits have been available. They've been sent out to our school staff to use as well. I think it's something they want to increase the use of, but I don't believe the supply is there yet. So I do think it's a pretty good test. It has to be well administered, and someone has to watch you physically spit into the tube to make sure you provide a good sample. But it is a good opportunity for those who can't go in and get a swab, and you can get the saliva test mailed to you to send back, that kind of thing. But I haven't heard more than that. I know Duluth was their pilot site, but I haven't heard past that if they're going to roll it out to more sites.
There was no other information on it. Okay, anything else, commissioners?
So free tests, if you know of any, let us know.
No.
I absolutely, Randy. I think free testing is.
Could have a
is
drive-through at the fairgrounds. Really.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
and that's a good point, because that is something that we are working on
Yeah.
with our mass vaccination and trying to utilize the expo building whenever we can to help us kind of identify our flow and equipment needs. So do as many practice runs and dry runs as we can, but also to let our constituents or your constituents know that the building will be, I mean, this is gonna be a beautiful facility to be able to do this kind of work and show them what's been done, take that opportunity.
Right, but I do want to clarify that COVID tests are covered by health insurance, and also for anyone uninsured, underinsured, they are free. You're right, the community testing sites, they go and they provide free testing, anyone to walk in. Those are typically done in a outbreak situation, similar to when we had an outbreak here. You want to clear out those positives, right? So you do it when you have more people who are positive, who may be asymptomatic. I think at this point, with people getting testing here in Todd County, 400 people a week is a pretty good number. I think we're able to meet the demands of getting people tested at our healthcare facilities. So again, if it were to increase and we were to see again more and more people who aren't able to get in to get tested, that would be a good opportunity then.
And Mr. Chair, and that goes back to not answering the phone for 45 minutes, because if you're showing symptoms and you're concerned and you can't get in to talk to a person, how the hell do you make an appointment? Because you're going to get frustrated, and like I did, you just hang up.
Absolutely. I would suggest leaving your phone number. That at least worked well for me. They gave me a call back in 45 minutes, and once I got a hold of someone, they were very helpful.
And-
But I completely understand, and I think it's a huge issue. And it's something that I think all of us need to bring maybe a little more light to.
And a lot of people don't have that access to my chart, and that's what I ended up using was my chart to contact somebody in the hospital.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Maybe someday they'll have a litmus test. You just stick it in your mouth, pull it out, and, huh?
Wouldn't that
be
be
great?
easy and nice?
Yeah. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Who's in after us? We can grab Mitch?
I'm up
Oh,
next.
you're up.
Okay,
I have a board action this morning to approve the use of compliance funds to purchase a GIS printer. The background for this is the GIS department is in need to replace their large format printer, plotter, and also their scanner. There are compliance funds available for technology enhancements for GIS who assist land records offices in printing and scanning. The compliance committee did review this request for funds and recommends the purchase of an HP DesignJet 830 multifunction plotter printer through CDWG at $5,545.37. The options are to approve the use of the compliance funds for the purchase of the GIS printer through CDWG for $5,545.37. That is the recommendation, and this comes out of compliance funds. Because this amount is over $5,000 and outside of my authority to approve, it's coming before the board.
okay, you've heard the request. Was there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman, discussion?
Mr. Chair, I would just clarify on this quickly that the request that went through Compliance Committee was for $5,800. I was able to get the price reduced through CDWG.
Okay. Any more discussion? Not, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried, thank you.
The next board action that I have is to approve the CMEMS Joint Powers Agreement. The background for this is the CMEMS Joint Powers Agreement has been updated to reflect current members and language specific to withdrawal, member parties, statutory updates, and style and grammatical corrections. Approval is required by each county board in order to initiate the updated CMEMS Joint Powers Agreement. The options are to approve the CMEMS Joint Powers Agreement or not to approve, and the recommendation is to approve, and this has been reviewed by the county attorney.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson, discussion?
If, just a comment that this has taken quite a length of time for it to get here and be approved. It was brought here earlier this spring, and then there was some clarifications that had to be made on it, but it's good to see it come through at this point.
Yes.
Okay. Any more discussion? Not, all's in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Okay, the next board action that I have is to continue our Todd County plan for reopening to the public. And I am here today with the Phase 4, which is our final phase. And this is to open our Staples branch office. So I have the background here with all of the different options that we had in going through our phases and our opening dates. And at this time, Health and Human Services is requesting that we open the Staples branch office so they can begin doing some WIC clinics up there and just doing some other business. The other offices that are up in the Staples building are in agreement with this reopening. So the options are to implement Phase 4 of the reopening of the Staples branch office, and that opening date actually was yesterday, October 5th. Or option, should say 2, to maintain operating under Phase 3, and the recommendation is to implement Phase 4 of reopening of the Staples branch office.
For the board action, is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kanizel. Discussion. That's the last of our opening, right?
It's the last of our phases.
And Region 5 has been notified then?
I will make that notification. Typically, Region 5 operates under their own opening and closing of doors.
Right.
So, but I will notify them. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
$55,000.
Mr. Chair, the next board action that I have is to approve the CARE CRF funds for a corrections remodel.
Remove your mask. You don't need them on in the boardroom. Go ahead.
The background for this is, Community Corrections is requesting use of CARE CRF funds to reconfigure the Long Prairie office to provide a safe and sterile meeting space for agents and clients. The proposed changes include creating 2 interview rooms and a restroom within the current office space. CARES funds are available for public safety measures undertaken in response to COVID-19. The Facilities Committee has reviewed this request and recommends the use of CARE CRF funds for the project. The options are to approve the CARE CRF funds for remodel of Long Prairie Corrections Office utilizing Cool Construction at a cost of $55,792.25, or to not approve, and the recommendation is to approve.
Okay, you've heard the board action. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Discussion.
I think we've had quite a bit of discussion and meetings on this, looking over the plans. Mitch brought us plans and so forth, and I think it looks like a good remodel for them, especially the meeting rooms and the bathroom facility. Yes.
And we're changing that door.
Yes, basically, we're making it a more secured area for our employees, along with the COVID and the separation of the individuals that come in to corrections during their time of visit. So it's good for safety precautions, and it's also good for the COVID separation of those individuals, so we can meet with the clientele. So, yeah.
Question I have, you have them lockers out front. Can we get them moved to someplace where it's a little more, is that for the staff?
Commissioner, yes, that is for the clients who
Oh,
come in
okay.
and may have belongings
Oh,
that they can safely lock them.
Oh, I thought they were for the staff, so, okay. So they're there for the clients.
Yes.
And how do we sanitize them after the clients?
So we do 2 different things. We do a spray down method. We currently have, and I'm gonna draw a blank on the machines that we have that have basically a dissolving capsule, and we spray the lockers down that way from the outside. And then we also hand clean them with like a QT cleaner and those type of things. But there is products that are out there where basically it sprays a mist out of some type of gun, if you want to call it that. We go by and we spray it off, and in the morning and done, and that's what takes care of it every morning to sanitize
So
it.
between clients, they're all touching it? I mean, if there are 4 clients come in, there's 4 touching it?
Commissioner, we do, yes, currently, I don't know if our protocol has our staff going out and cleaning the lockers after each visit. It does.
It does. Megan indicated that it does. So our staff are going out and
Okay.
cleaning the lockers after each visit.
That's what I was, okay, good. All right, thank you. Okay, anything else, guys? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right, discussion, CARES Act funds.
Yep, so Mr. Chair, I just have just a couple of things that I wanted to update you on. We're in the process of getting some engineer work done on the expo building, getting the bathroom drawings back, and also getting the heating and cooling system design. So I'm hopeful that within this week, we'll get some information back and maybe be able to make some decisions and get moving forward on that. So that's all I had on that. And then the other thing that I wanted to just update the board on, we've been using existing committees to make decisions on use of funds and bring those forward to the board. So I just wanted to make sure the board was aware that we are going to be using the CPT technology group, which would include Commissioner Kneisel and Commissioner Newman, to make some decisions on technology items and bring those forward to the board. And both of them have agreed to do that. So just an update, really, not a change in any committees.
Yep.
And also just an opportunity, if any of you have any questions regarding the CARES Act funds, I'm hopeful to get the list of expenses out to you this week.
Well, as far as timelines, we're doing okay?
We're doing okay. Anything that would be like a brand-new project would might be a little bit difficult to start that. I do know the technology items, I think we will be okay to get those ordered up. It's just we have to move quickly so the supply doesn't get short. But
I'm just thinking of something. We talked about these doors here. Are we doing anything with these doors?
I can put that on my list.
Well, I'm just saying, everybody touches them. Now,
Mhm.
everybody's left and touched them, and they make so much noise. I know this is supposed to be a historic place,
Mhm.
but you know what? It's not accommodating to the county board. I think it's interrupts us, it's noisy, it's not sanitary right now. Everybody has touched them that is left.
Steve's collecting all that.
Why?
We could assign that job to the
I
sheriff.
just
to clean
think we
those.
should look, I don't know what the other board members feel, but I just think we should look at doing something with them, or doing something different.
We can take a look at that with our next facilities and just see what kind of options are out there. Again, I mean, some of this stuff, and maybe the doors aren't such a big deal to get taken care of, but we know that it's difficult to get contractors and
Yeah.
get people to look at them, but we will take another look at the doors.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, anything else? If not, I believe we will go into closed session. For negotiation strategy, the commissioners will hold a closed session pursuant to Minnesota statutes section 13D.03 for the purpose of considering strategy for labor negotiations. Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. We are closed at 10:37, am I right? All right, I'll reopen the county board meeting at, give me a time here, 11:11 a.m. on the 6th of October from our closed session. So, is there any standing reports?
If I could, I would like to comment the Parks and Trails for their open house that they had. Very nice turnout from what I'm hearing from the board members.
I was in Dakota, so I couldn't make it. All right, good. Anything else? If not, we will recess until October 20th. And I guess we're gonna go right into the work session. And we have 3 topics for that. News media back on?
Yes.
Tobacco ordinance, Jackie and Catherine and David.
Right.
Catherine ended up having to go to some training.
Okay.
So it's going to be David and I this morning to talk a little bit about the tobacco ordinance. This morning in our board meeting, we did set the dates for the hearings. And now to talk a little bit about the policy and the updates. Our policy was sent to the
Public Health Law
going
Center.
blank, Public Health Law Center to be reviewed. And we just want to be sure that we're updated and following the state and federal laws that have been set forth out there. So primarily, it's been updated to reflect those changes within the last year.
Yeah, so basically, like Jackie explained, every couple years or so, we send our ordinances to the Public Health Law Center for their review and comment. This time when we submitted, we asked for nothing additional, but just to make sure that we were bringing our Todd County ordinance up to speed with the state one as well as the federal one. As you're probably aware, in the last year or so, at the state and federal level, the legal age to purchase has been changed to 21. Well, Todd County's ordinance currently still says 18. So this is mostly just an update to ensure that we're in compliance with the state law. Nothing else additional, nothing added. The only point that we wanted to make was at the state and federal level, the decision was made to remove what they call PUP penalties, purchase, use, and possession penalties, and that only applies to people between the ages of 18 and 21. Our license, or our ordinance as brought forward, also includes that. That would be the only discussion point. So currently, if it is adopted as it is written, it will still be a tobacco violation if somebody is under the age of 18 to be caught in possession using tobacco, any of those things attempting to purchase. But if they're between 18 and 21, they will not be.
It's taken a little bit longer than we anticipated to get this back. I think it was submitted last February.
Probably. It's been a long time.
Back from the Law Center and through the COVID time. I mean, everything just got, I think, pushed back and delayed. So we wanted to bring it to you as soon as we can upon receipt from the Law Center.
So our ordinance currently says if they're under 18, they can be charged with a crime?
Yes, the way the tobacco ordinances have always been written, it's that for minors, which previously the legal age of becoming no longer a minor was 18. So we kind of have this weird gap in the middle now where you can't charge somebody who's 20 years old with a juvenile tobacco violation because they're not, a juvenile, they're legally an adult. So, yeah, that is how it is written. That is how the Public Health Law Center suggested it. That's how the state approved it, and that's how the federal government approved Tobacco 21 as well. So ours would still be mimicking them entirely. I know some communities have explored the option of being able to cite 20-year-olds for using tobacco products, but that is not current best practice.
Okay, thank you.
So exactly what's the difference then?
It would still be, the reason we update this is to reflect, once again, the state changes, but it would still be a crime on the sales end of it. So for an establishment that sells to a 19, 20-year-old, the establishment could still be charged with a juvenile tobacco violation. It's just that the juvenile or the individual between 18 and 21 does not. I know it gets a little confusing in there, but it's the changes made to Tobacco 21 really are focused solely on the sales of tobacco products. They're trying to prevent convenience stores, things like that, from selling to people. They don't want to push the penalties onto 20-year-olds who already may be addicted to nicotine and have been smoking, and then all of a sudden the law changes, and a month ago they weren't in violation of the law, then now they are if we didn't remove that 18 to 21-year-old.
Can you said some are still considering that between 18 and 21. Can we go outside of the federal regulations? Does that supersede them?
We can be stricter, like always. We can be stricter than the state and the federal, but we cannot be weaker. So,
Okay.
yeah, so technically, once again, we could choose at a local level to have penalties written in there for those that are 18 to 21 years of age, but
I think our charging would be meaningless anyway, so.
yeah. Yep. We don't have a whole lot of, historically, have much for juvenile tobacco violations anymore anyways. There's been a lot with vaping the last couple of years. Vaping is considered a tobacco product, so it would still apply to that, but hopefully we're not having the issue that we were 20 years ago, so.
Are you guys seeing the vaping going down now with the COVID?
What we're seeing, unfortunately, is an incredible lack of data on tobacco use rates during COVID. Students aren't in school, or they're transitioning out of school here at a local level, but there's a lot of concerns out there with COVID and the effects, the negative health effects of smoking and vaping on your lungs, and then you end up with COVID. But in terms of numbers changing, I have not seen anything.
Probably enhances the symptoms, maybe.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, it does.
So those are what you came to tell us about? That's
Correct.
Any questions, commissioners? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Morning, Lauren.
Morning.
Our one item on the agenda this morning for the work session is to provide the board the opportunity to look at what we're requesting for next year for a motor grader purchase. And I'll just kind of jump into the presentation here. So on our second slide gives a breakdown or matrix of what motor graders we actually have in our fleet. We have an older motor grader from 1998, a Cat 143 that we rebuilt in 2011. So you can see it has roughly around 12,000 to 12,500 hours. The two other motor graders are two Cat 120 motor graders we purchased in 2011. And you can see as of now they're getting upwards of 8,000 hours on the older machine and around 6,000 hours on the other machine. Speaking with Cat and some of the big heavy equipment vendors, they recommend that when a machine like this gets to that 9,000 to 10,000 hour mark, operators, owners of those machines really look at overhauling the engines, overhauling the transmissions to prevent any major big breakdowns. So you can see the unit number 5, the middle one, is really nearing that 9,000 hour mark. So when we develop our equipment replacement plan, we try to replace these big heavy equipment machines at or near that 9,000 hour mark. So if we move to the next slide, you'll see that we have our 5-year equipment replacement plan that we provide the board on an annual basis at our road meetings. And you can see in fiscal year 2021, we have a Cat motor grader listed. So if we move to the next slide, this summer we reached out to our vendors, both Ziegler Equipment and RDO Equipment, Ziegler being our Cat vendor, and he provided a quote for a new machine, a Cat motor grader machine, 196 horsepower, which is very similar to the current ones we have. Included a 60-month, 5,000 hour warranty. Using the state bid price comes in at $221,000. Reaching out to RDO Equipment, they provided us a quote for a 670G John Deere, has additional horsepower, 235 horsepower, a larger extended warranty, and these warranties are top to bottom warranties, meaning not just the engine, not just the transmission. Basically, if anything breaks, they'll come out and fix it for that amount of time. So they're kind of a premier warranty. They also include a higher trade-in value, so they come in at a lower cost of $175,000. When speaking with them, the vendor gave us an option of actually looking at a used John Deere piece of equipment. This is a piece of equipment that actually was basically a demo unit, was down in Texas. They actually brought it up here for us to demo on the road, and all of our operators really enjoyed using the machine for the couple days they allowed us to demo it. It's basically the same machine. The only negative, it has 662 hours on it. It's not brand new, it's used. But they provided us a cost of just under $159,000. So when we compare those three options, Cat, you can see on the next slide, has roughly 39 horsepower less than the John Deere. They come in at a high cost of $221,000, where the John Deere comes in at $175,000 and the used John Deere comes in at $158,000. The problem and why we're bringing this to the board at this time, the state bid for these equipment ends at the end of this month. So if we want to encounter these prices, we'd have to jump on these contract before the end of the year, before the end of the month. We can always wait, but the risk we have is that those prices could raise anywhere from 3, 4, 5%. Not a huge amount, but we talk 3 to 4 to 5% on a $200,000 item, it equates to some big dollars. So with that, also being a used machine, the thing can be sold at any time. They don't have it locked down for Todd County as of now. So with that, we'd like to, if the board is willing to entertain this, bring this to your option to approve at the next board meeting, which would be the 20th of this month. And that'd be our recommendation would actually to be bring in a recommendation to approve the purchase of the used motor grader.
Well, it's nice you got the warranty on the used one like the other, like the new one, so.
Yeah.
That 600 hours is peanuts, so, I mean, really.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this before with these new machines, there's a lot of electronics, a lot of things that are beyond what we as operators and people here can really fix. So having that extended warranty on these machines, you know, one thing could go wrong, it could use up that warranty cost in a heartbeat. So, and it's a pretty lengthy warranty. I'm thinking, what is that, 7 years, 5,000 hours? Probably half the life of the machine.
Really, the used one is probably determined whether it's a lemon or not, you know, I mean, any bugs in it, we got fixed already or whatever.
Probably, so we're pretty safe with it, yeah.
I think I noticed on the previous slide that the used one retailed at like 400 and some thousand, is that correct? Do the other two retail up in the same
I'm glad you brought that up, if we can go back to
category?
that.
I didn't think I seen anything.
That is retail.
Yeah.
So that means if Bob's contracting service went out and bought from RDO, that'd be the price they pay.
Oh.
So you can see below that, working through this source well, we can get that level of discount, and I think it's 38–40%.
Wow.
So if we went back to like the previous slides before that, you'll see that the retail price is actually near that, and that reflects the state bid discount. So there's that much markup on the retail price that contractors have to pay as compared to government agencies. So I asked one of the mechanics one time, Gary might know him, that used to work for Ziegler, that should counties really rebuild and fix these machines? And he said, why would you with this level of discount on a new machine? The counties get such good a deal, it just does not make fiscal sense to basically overhaul or keep an old machine. In other words, replace it and take advantage of the state discount. I'm glad you caught that so I could point that out.
Yeah.
But actually, the trade-in value isn't that high. You know,
On
when
a
you look
cat-
at it, trade-in is only 42,000 on a machine that's got, what, 8,000 hours on it?
Yeah, as if we compare to the last slide, I apologize for going back and forth with that matrix there. But you can see John Deere beats them quite high, actually, like 20 to 30,000 just on the trade-in alone. They really want to get into this area with some of their machines, and they have really good quality machines. So we have no issues or concerns with going to that.
Through Sourcewell, CAT is on their own, or is CAT through Sourcewell?
You can go through Sourcewell as well. This is just the method they use to get that discount, could offer that through Sourcewell on this used machine. Now, if we go back to the previous slide above that, John Deere quoted us that price, that retail price is from the state bid. They can offer us whether through Sourcewell or state bid. Looking into the things, they're very comparable within like a 0.5% where that percentage discount is, whether it's a state bid or Sourcewell. Unfortunately, the issue is that we would be approving this purchase if you went with it next week, in 2 weeks. It's for fiscal year 2021. And as part of this agreement, they would hold the machine until next year. At that point in time, then we'd actually officially make the transaction and take ownership of the machine and then make the payment.
They wouldn't
So it
leave
would not
here.
happen
They
until
wouldn't
then.
leave it here, huh, for you to use while you're,
Not that I'm aware of. And we really don't want them to,
yeah.
kind of insurance-wise. It would be parked at their facility, but they'd basically, quote-unquote, hold the machine for us.
Okay.
But I think it's a great opportunity for Todd County.
I don't know, I say bring it back.
All right?
Mr. Chair, both are made in America,
Yes.
correct?
As
Yeah.
far as I'm aware.
Right,
Yep.
okay,
With American steel
yeah,
and American ingenuity, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, good, solid. Ziegler and RDO, both, Minnesota companies, so.
right.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, next.
The next thing before you commissioners here is just a general discussion to be prepared for the public hearing set for October 20th regarding the county fee schedule to adopt and be ready for implementation on January 1 of 2021. So included in the packet is a condensed all county department effort into making one reference document. And the other departments are here and can speak to their changes. I can tell you that on the first areas here, there's no changes recommended from the auditor treasurer's office, the recorders, or the assessors, and neither planning and zoning.
Okay.
The other offices are also here as well. A new thing for this year is also including the solid waste into this, as
Correct.
requested last year.
Is corrections in this?
Corrections is not, as they are their own agency.
So they don't have to go to the county boards to get approval?
Correct.
Okay. All right, can we go to where the corrections are then? Or changes?
Steve, I believe you had one, correct, that you wanted to make note of?
Change that I need to take care of, it was the Board of Prisoners. We're at $57.50 right now, but DOC has just jumped theirs to $60, and we like to keep pace with what they're at. So it'd go from $57.50 to the $60 actually, what we wanna go to on that one. Fingerprint, this is for, currently we're at $10, we're jumping up to 15. So if somebody comes down to our office, get fingerprinted for a job that they're coming into, we're just upping that a little bit. That is what most counties surrounding us are at or higher than even 15, so that just to stay in pace. Jump that by a few dollars. Our impound fees were extremely low, and that's why we're jumping over. We're at like $5 a day to house a car or impound lot, and kind of became really apparent when these insurance companies were calling to get a vehicle out of there and going, you only charge $5? So it was time that we just jumped those up. Biggest change we gotta do is actually make that $60 instead of the 57 for the Board of Prisoners.
$20 enough for your impound jump?
That's pretty much going right
Okay.
now, yeah.
Because we built a building out there and stuff like that, so it's.
Yeah.
Most of the cars, you can exceed the dollar value of the car though pretty fast with the impound lot,
If
so.
it'll happen, they'll just tell us.
Well, that's okay. Take possession. Scrap them. Okay, good, thanks. All right, next.
I don't know, Jackie, if you have any noted changes you wanna
Couple
bring up?
noted changes. So we added the adopted child background study, as we're now providing that. Deductible copay, Jenna had said that the fee schedules, they haven't changed, but we added language around that. And then we added a late fee with environmental health as we've been, assessing late fees, with, licenses, but we had never had it in the fee schedule, so that was just added in there. So very, very minor.
None of the basic fees.
No, correct.
Okay.
Now is not a good time.
No.
I think for people, yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Okay. Who else?
Then last but not least on here is your solid waste fees. And they're notated on here. I'm not sure if Chris McCon is still on the line to answer any questions.
Would you like me to speak on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so there's, first to point out, I know in the past we weren't always involved in the annual fee schedule public hearing, and from what I've heard so far, the leadership in the county would prefer us just to go along with the other departments and have our fee schedule adjusted with everyone else's. So that's why we're here today. On the table that we're showing you, we have actually the 2020 and the 2021 fees. If you look in on the columns, the left column is 2020, and we grade in certain numbers, and those are numbers that weren't actually on the fee schedule before. So the first number is the tipping fee for the haulers. That wasn't actually listed, so we've added that. We've also listed the discount. As you may remember from the board meeting today, we are pursuing the adoption of our waste designation ordinance, which requires us to post that discount. Further down, you'll see several other items that are grayed, and those are just items, again, that weren't specifically listed. We want all of our fees publicly available. The next column is the 2021 fee schedule, and the items in yellow are the ones that have increased. So starting again at the top of the fee schedule, the MSW fee has increased some because of the cost from Prairie Lakes, and it's increasing some because our discount that we were applying wasn't being updated, so we're trying to bring that back to its original form, which I believe was $9 a ton. There's some other miscellaneous ones that, unless you want me to talk about each one, I'm going to skip down to their significant items. The next significant item on here is the parcel fee. As we discussed with the solid waste committee, how our budget was working, I think the general perspective we're trying to have from a long term is that we're hoping to do one of two things. One is receive a CAP grant to do the project we've been working on that would be a full facility, I'll call it a rebuild, with a new MRF and a new transfer station and a organics composting. And if we don't do that, if we don't get the CAP, we still believe that we need to build a new transfer station. In either of those cases, we're going to have some debt payments to make, and the committee agreed that we shouldn't wait to prepare ourselves for making those debt payments. We should get that in now, so that if we get the CAP grant money, we can move forward. If we do a transfer station on our own, we can move forward. We did discuss these prices relative to neighboring counties. There are counties above you and there's counties below you. So you aren't at the top or bottom, but just some examples that I have is Wadena County is at 60 for residents. Ottertail County is at 70 for residents. Hope and Douglas are at 90 and 98, excuse me, for residents. I believe Morrison County is very low. Stearns County is very low. I don't remember their numbers, but it's like in the 20s. And some of that is because they don't really provide, Stearns County, for example, doesn't really provide any service. They don't have their own facility. It's privately owned operations, and they make their money based on their tipping fees. Just interrupt me when you have questions. The last number I just want to point out to you is the recyclables. Historically, we've been charging $20 a ton to process out-of-county recyclables. And the market out there for them is the neighborhood of 100 to 150. So as I've calculated it, our cost is around $60 per ton currently. And I think we need to, for the out-of-county recycling, I think we need to charge them our costs. And that cost will only go up if we build a new facility because of the cost of debt and other things.
Chris, I didn't catch it when you were scrolling through, or when she was scrolling through, farm egg bags, what are we, do we charge, or how's that processed?
Well, right now it's basically, we're all kind of in a limbo of it's free, but it costs the county money. And I think next month I can give you much more information, because we applied for a grant. The 3 counties went together and applied for a grant. And I spoke to the grant coordinator at the MPCA last week, and she said that in November I can tell you how that went. And then at that point we can talk about moving forward with talking about our long-term process for that. Is that a fair answer?
Yeah, well, I just was wondering, and you said it, we're losing money on it, so I wanted to know what we're intending to do, because it's gonna become more and more of an issue as we go here, and probably is an issue already, so.
Yeah, and I agree with you. So far, our general philosophy has been, let's do in the short term, let's have it free and get the program running, and then let's move it into a cost share program where, you know, nothing is free, but they have to pay a price, you know, for that service.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yep.
And I shouldn't say just farm egg, because they have shrink wrap boats and everything else, and I'm sure they gotta do away with that stuff, so. Did we lose you, Chris?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
I said I shouldn't say just egg, it's the boat shrink wraps and all that too that's going on, so.
That's correct. That's correct. So boat wrap would fall in that too.
Yep.
If I remember right, last year or a few years ago, we had the haulers come in and speak with the commissioners. Are they going to be invited, or are they aware of the second hearing? And the second hearing is the same time as the vote, and actually should it have been put at the same time as the vote?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to let both Jolene and Chris answer that question, because they've done some considerable research on how many hearings and what needs to take place, and I do believe Chris has a letter drafted for the haulers. So Chris, do you want to address how haulers are being notified?
Yes, so we have prepared a letter, and if it hasn't gone out, it's going to go out this week, but it's to each hauler to notify them of the public hearings, so that they have a chance, like the rest of the public, to comment.
And I don't think we can allow them in here unless they come by appointment, so.
Mr. Chair, that's correct, by appointment only, and they can communicate through the clerk email.
So they should be aware of that somehow.
Yeah, legal notice has been put on the website already of how persons can communicate their concerns in writing ahead of time, by email ahead of time, and or make an appointment to appear in person if they wish.
Right. I don't know, I hope that's communicated well to the haulers.
Yeah, so, you know, being that we're doing the vote the same day.
I will double check the letter. I don't have it in front of me, but to make sure that we communicated that well.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Becker, did that catch both of your questions? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I got a question for Chris. Chris, how's the insurance coming? MCIT still working on that?
Well, it's coming in fits and spurts, but we are working with the consultant that MCIT hired, Michelle Puglisa, for her to go after what's called layered insurance. And she gave us a data request, and literally yesterday I sent her a flash drive because it was so much data. We had 700 megs of information for her, and that's for her, the brokers that she's going to have a good picture of how our facility operates. So there's literally, like our safety plans are on there, our air emissions reporting is on there, any kind of ink integrity testing is on there.
Okay. Mr. Chair, one more question would be with the bonding. I haven't heard anything as far as bonding for 2020. I don't even think they're gonna get it done. We're just gonna put her on hold then for 2021?
Mr. Chair, if I can maybe just address that, I have reached out to Representative Poston, and he is still hopeful that something will happen towards the end of October, so that's what we're waiting for.
they're hopeful, yeah. They're hopeful, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they'll get along yet by the end of October.
I keep checking.
I know, thank you.
Okay, anything else, Chris?